Good morning. Welcome into the studio at Two Girls Treasure. I hope you're doing great this morning. I'm Diane Pruitt. We're in the studio in Florence, South Carolina. And if you were here with me yesterday, you saw the paint pull. When I pulled the paint came with it. We did some things and I retaped, and guess what? The paint pulled with the tape. When your paint job goes wrong, what corrective measures can you take, or what do you do? Can you fix it? Well, let's take some time this morning because I feel like that's really important. It's easy to do a tutorial and show you how everything goes great. Let's take some time and talk about what happens when it doesn't, because that, my friends, is the reality of refinishing furniture. It is not always perfect. It's not like Hollywood. This is real. And if you're doing this for yourself, you don't want that frustration. If you're doing this for a living, you can't afford for it to go wrong. So come on in the studio. Let's take some time and let's talk about what we can do when your paint job goes wrong. Now, yesterday I had taped off the stripes, and I taped over paint that had been drying since Thursday. So Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. It had been drying for 4 full days. No reason for the paint to have pulled. I've taped off stripes. You saw when I taped off the chest of drawers within 30, 45 minutes, within an hour, and they were just fine within 20 minutes of the paint drying. When something goes wrong, you have to take a step back because there's something on the surface that's preventing proper bonding. That's the number one cause. The second thing that could happen, of course, is that your paint didn't have enough time to dry. Well, that's real too, but we all know 4 days is plenty of time. And when we taped this yesterday, the paint was dry. I'm not using the lowest tack tape possible. I'm using the standard blue tape. So it should have worked. It worked when we did the chest of drawers. Now, here's the difference. When we did the chest of drawers, we were going over bare wood that had been painted, dried, and then taped. When we painted this, even though I did prep, there was paint on it already. Not my paint, because once you use Rethunk Junk paint products and you decide it's time to repaint, really all you ever have to do is spray it with the prep again, wipe it down, let it dry, and paint. So this was not my paint product, and I should have known better. But we do it all the time. It should have worked just fine. Now, I don't know that this was chalk paint. I don't really think it was. I don't think it was waxed. I think it was just simply something on the surface. And I believe that because when I came in this morning, I scratched across the top of the headboard. I scratched on the bottom ridge. I also scratched on both of the posts, and the only place the paint came off was across this top surface. Well, that tells me something was there that I didn't remove when I sprayed prep on it. So I want to show you a couple of things this morning. Let me see if I can make this. Oh, sorry, I don't mean to be in your business. I want to make this a little bit larger because I want you to see exactly what I'm working with. So I'm going to take my Scotch Brite, which is already used this morning, because I'm going to tell you something. This frustrates me. I was ready to move this forward, but we have to stop. We have to go back. This has to be corrected. And I could just fix it and move on with my life, but I feel like sometimes when you call me, it's because I haven't shown you what to do when your paint job goes wrong. So the first thing I'm going to do is take my prep. I've already sprayed it and scuffed it twice, but I want to show you two things. I want to show you the paint coming off so easily, and I want to show you where the paint's not coming off at all. It instantly will give you the visual that something was wrong here. Watch this. I'm going to soak this with prep. So much prep that I'm using my rag underneath it so it doesn't drip down onto the paint that's actually holding on. Now I'm going to take my Scotch-Brite, and if you see the change in color right here, that's where the paint's coming off. Now we know the paint's coming off here. We know that already. I'm going to keep scrubbing it with the Scotch-Brite until it's clean. We don't need to sand this. It's coming right off. So we're going to fix this problem right now. I don't like to be frustrated by my paint jobs, and I don't like it when my paint jobs fail. But this is not the first time I've done this, clearly. And when your paint comes off that easily, something's wrong. So let's spray this again, and let's wipe it with the cloth. That is how bad something was underneath this paint. Well, you say to yourself, self, she's only doing the spot that she wants us to focus on. Okay, well, in fairness, let's come over here. Now, I did scratch right here, and some of it did come off. I scratched down here, and I didn't get that same paint coming off. So let's do this. The green is on the Scotch-Brite from where I just scrubbed, but I'm scrubbing down here, and I'm getting a little bit of paint coming off. But you know what? I'm scrubbing it with prep and a Scotch-Brite. So it's reasonable to believe that some of it's going to come off. But you saw the paint coming off up here. The paint's really not coming off down here. What does that tell us? There's something on the surface here that's causing our problem. Not convinced yet? Well, tell you what. Let me grab another Scotch-Brite, and we'll do it again. I'll tell you, we'll go even one step further. Let me grab my squishy sanding block. Now, if you really want to test your paint and its durability and its ability, let's grab a sanding block. Now, this is a fine grit, still sanding. And let's hit it right here. Now, I have saturated this. Not sure? I'll do it again. It's dripping off. That paint's not coming off. The paint's not the problem, y'all. The surface, that area, that surface right there is our problem. So now let me clean the prep off where I just sprayed. It took a little bit off on the highlights because you've got some edges there where the carvings are. But two things didn't happen. That paint did not come off like it did over here. And it didn't let go, not even with a sanding block. That's when you know, without exception, that the problem is in your surface, not your product. The product is amazing. You've seen me paint hundreds of pieces. If you haven't, it's because Facebook deleted so many of our videos. But you've seen me paint repeatedly with this paint product. I do the same process every time. Everything we do starts with prep. Sometimes, even though you prep and you use a good cloth, there can be something on the surface that just is not going to let your paint stay where you put it. It is called a resist. It could be furniture polish. It could be the paint that was used on it before. It could be a wax over the top of it. It could be anything in the world but sometimes you don't know it until after you do it, and you put the tape on, pull the tape off, and the paint comes with it. So the fix is to step away for just a little while, and then come back and fix it. So let's pull this out. Let's get our brushes together and let's fix this, because nobody wants their paint job to go bad. So I'm going to squish you back down. I've got our Hydrangea Kiss and Morning Mist. I did put a fresh sheet over the Hydrangea Kiss. We're going to keep on until we use this up. I have my spray bottle. I've got 2 spray bottles of water. Just water. That's all it is. Let's fix this, y'all, because it is fixable. I'm going to dampen my bristles. Tamp them off just a little bit. I'm going to run my hand over it. I want to make sure I got all the grit off before we put any more paint over the surface. Sanding blocks, Scotch Brights. Once you use those, you've got to make sure you prep back over it again, because it'll leave grit. And if you don't get that off, that's going to end up in your paint. So I'm going to wipe this side down really well, wipe this down, and wipe this down. Nothing we touched came off like this. That's crazy. But that's life painting old furniture. So let's let this dry real quick. I'm going to start down here where I ran my sanding block across it and just touch that back up. A little bit of Hydrangea Kiss, little bit of mist, little bit of Morning Mist, and we'll blend that across just like we did the first time. The hard thing about blending is matching it. The cool thing about blending is it's blended, so matching it does not have to be perfect. You do want the colors to coordinate. I can see right now that I've got a little bit more Morning Mist than I do Hydrangea Kiss, so we'll just retouch it. Mist it so it glides and moves together. And then we'll add back a little bit of Hydrangea Kiss, because we want the colors to be coordinated and close to what we started with, even though we're starting over. We're not really starting over. We're just starting from the point where we found a problem and corrected it. I'm going to come across this top edge, because check your ridges and your edges. Make sure they stay nice and smooth and no paint balls up or pools anywhere that you don't want it. That makes a weak spot, and you don't want that, especially on a headboard. Somebody's child will peel it. Nice and smooth lines so that when it lays down nice and smooth. Now let's fix this stupid spot up here. And yeah, I called it a stupid spot because it's stupid for that to have happened. Not necessary. Frustrated me, caused me to have to take extra steps. But in hindsight, I think it's good that it happened, so that I could show you how easy it is to correct that problem. And this really isn't that hard, is it? So we're going to put the Hydrangea Kiss on first. Nice. Let's go ahead and pull the tape off the roses. And look, the paint, well, it did pull in a little bit right there. How about that? Grr. It pulled there. And it pulled there. Guess we better break out the prep and it didn't pull there. This tape's been on here since yesterday morning. It pulled there, and it pulled there. So we'll break out our sanding block and our prep, and let's correct this area as well. We're going to correct everything as we're going so that we can fix this, because we want this to look as good as the chest of drawers, and it looks fantastic. Prep and our Scotch-Brite. So let's knock this paint off, clean whatever is causing a problem. We want this to happen here in the studio and not once we sell this piece of furniture. And it's a little challenging because I already have the casting, the Juliet casting on here. It's okay. I didn't paint it yet, and whatever it is adhered to is clearly going to stay right where it is. If it doesn't, this will knock it off. If it's not going to stay like that, little rose, then scrubbing it like this will take it back off. But I don't see any movement, so I think we're good right there. And we'll grab our cloth and our prep, and we'll spray that again. A really heavy spray. Usually I use just some, but in this case we want a very heavy spray of prep, because we want, not only do we want it cleaned off, but whatever is causing that resist, and it's not definable, we don't know, but we want to make sure this time that it's off. So plenty of prep, a Scotch-Brite to scrub it clean, and now we're going to have to wait for that section to dry really well. Since we have the casting on here, we've got some grooves that we're not going to be able to dry quickly. It's okay. I got that paint prepped, so I'm going to knock that off. And we've got the same problem right here. Whatever was on this headboard, it was this whole center section. I did not get paint on my jeans. I'm thankful for that. But it is all over my hands. All right, let's let that dry for just a second. Coffee break. If you have any questions, pop them in the comments. If you've had any paint failures, let me know what your correction would have been. That's a good cup of coffee. All right, back at it. We'll move the prep because I don't want to make the mistake of prepping when I'm spritzing. And that's still damp, so we're going to have to leave that alone. All right, in that case, we'll come back over here. We'll touch this up because I scrubbed this with the Scotch-Brite. Scratched that with my fingernails this morning. It didn't really scratch on this side, and I scratched hard. When I do a scratch test, it's not a test, it's a stress test. All right, Hydrangea Kiss, nice and smooth, followed by a mist of water and a coat of morning mist to blend with the Hydrangea Kiss to soften this finish, lighten the color. It's all about cottage in April, our nice, soft, springtime cottage colors. And I really love this combination of colors. A little bit of sage mixed with our custom cream. So we have a custom, and I'm going to go ahead and come across here as well. Let's go ahead and just do a do-over. Oh, you know what? That green seated itself in the carvings. That is beautiful. I like that. I like this opened up, but that's not how it's going to stay. It looks kind of cool. It looks kind of cool with center section. Let's go ahead. It's dry now. Let's go ahead and take a stab at it. See how this works. And since I know there was a problem to begin with, I'll come back later, stress test it again, make sure that everything that was problematic is no longer problematic. If it is, all I'm going to do is repeat this process because I don't want you to buy this from me and get it home and have a problem. There are always ways to fix things, but when you leave here, I don't want you to have to fix anything. I want it to be a nice finish. No scratchy, no peely, no frog legs on it, nothing like that. I want it to be beautiful and usable. And it's not usable if it pulls when you pull the tape. That's frustrating. Too much. All right. We'll start right in the middle. Let's blend out our edges and then our center. And with the casting, I'm okay with leaving a light spot, a highlight spot in the center. I just want to make sure I don't have any pooling. That, my friends, is how I'm going to start my day today, solving problems where I created them. There's no way I could have known that there was something under there that was going to create a resist. Once that happens, just take the time to correct it. It's simple, it's easy, and if you're, again, flipping furniture for yourself, you don't want the frustration of peeling paint or scratching paint once you're done. You've invested in your products, you've invested your time, and you have a certain expectation for the result. We want that for you too. If you're flipping furniture for a living, you absolutely don't want this to be a problem. How do you know when it's going to be a problem? Unfortunately, not until after you finish painting. It's always good to lay down a good base coat and test it. We don't always do that, but when we do, when there's a problem, now you know there's a really simple solution. Test in several areas, find your problem area, which is right here in the middle, and then take corrective steps to remove whatever is causing a resist, let it dry well, and then go over it again. And once that dries, we'll test it again and we'll make sure this time that it's fixed. If it is, we're going to stripe this. The tragedy in flipping vintage furniture is sometimes it's a booger and you have to take those extra steps. So don't be afraid of it. If you're not sure, if you have questions, call the store anytime Monday through Saturday from 8 a.m. until 6 p.m. or just stop by the studio. You know what? We're here to help you. We're here to make sure your projects and ours are successful and beautiful using Rethunk Junk Paint by Laura because we truly believe this is the best furniture paint. This is the best furniture paint on the market, specifically formulated for your furniture and your cabinets Never skip the prep, always skip the sanding. Maybe always. Thank you for being here. I know this is an abbreviated version, but we've got something special we're working on in the entryway, and I have got to get myself to work today. I hope you have a beautiful day. Take care of yourself and take care of each other. 1 p.m. Eastern Time today. Yes. Join us for the Pent Art Jean Jacket Challenge. If you haven't heard, you haven't seen the post we've been sharing. At 1 o'clock today, we're going to share a tutorial from Pent Art on how you can decoupage on your jean jacket. You've never done it before? So cool. So grab a jean jacket, grab your Pentart products. The list is on our Facebook page. If you don't have it yet, jump over there and grab it. Get your stuff together, and let's make the world a more beautiful place with Pentart products and your clothes. Super cool. I will see you right back here tomorrow morning. God willing, we will be working on another project. Keep your fingers crossed and say some prayers. Bye, y'all.